So I've been watching a few live streams, especially Sally Green Gamer's one where she was playing games made by her viewers. And some of those games were actually obbies, you know, these parkour games. And as good as some of those are, they all have the same issue, which is the player collision thing, you know, when you're trying to reach the next platform but someone jumps into your head and actually prevents you from reaching the next platform. Can be quite frustrating, especially when it's not supposed to be a competitive obby. Therefore I want to show you how to make a script which basically prevents players from colliding with each other. This may be very helpful for those who don't know how to script that kind of thing. And no, this is not a basic series or anything. If you want a basic series, I recommend watching either the Dev King or Alvin Blocks. I will put those links into the description. So let's get started, shall we? So first we gotta create a script inside the server script service. Simple script, no local script, no module script, just a normal server script. We're gonna give it a name. I will name it anti-player collision. I'm just gonna name the scripts that way so I know that this script does this certain thing, you know? It's all organizing stuff, basically. Alright, inside the script, we're gonna get rid of this print function right here, because we don't need it. I mean, you can keep it there if you want, but it's not really needed. But yeah, the first thing we're gonna need is a service. Well, not just one service, we're gonna need two. So let's just add these services. By the way, I'm adding this comment right here so I know what this area has. It's like all organizing things, as I said, so don't mind me. You don't really have to copy it one by one, unless you want to get into the practice of commenting things so that you have a more organized code. Alright, so the first service we're gonna add is players. So we're gonna type in local players equals game get service players. The next service we need is the physics service, which is basically used for having all these collision groups, you know? The physics server is basically for all the collision groups that we're going to make, which is actually just one collision group that we need. Next thing we need is a collision group for these players. So I'll just make this area called create collision group. And here we're gonna get the name of the collision group, so like I give it a name, you know. So local, I'm gonna call it C group equals players. So, you know, the string, this is players, this will be the name of the collision group, and it will be labeled as group, if that makes sense. Anyway, next we're gonna do is physics service column create collision group, and inside these brackets we're gonna type in C group. So this code will basically create a collision group called players. And then what we gotta do is type in physics service again, but this time column collision group set collidable. There we go. And in there we're gonna type in C group, comma C group, comma false. So what this means is we're gonna get the group. This second part is for like which collision group you want to disable the collisions for. Next thing we gotta do is make the function. So let me just type in the function title right here. And here we're gonna type in local function add to group. That's the name of a function I'm going to make. You can name it anything you want. You can also just name it group or add or anything like that. It's up to you. Just make sure that you know what this function is for in the end. The next thing we gotta do is put the word characters or character into the bracket and then hit enter right after the brackets part. So this way the function gets created right here, and this character bit is an argument which will be used for, you know, having the function right here, which I'm about to type. So for example, we're going to type in task.wait character. This will make sure that this code waits for the character to load in. Then after that, we're going to type in for underscore, or you can also just type in I, but I mostly use underscore because we don't need the integer. And then part in pairs, character, and then column get children, open and close brackets, and behind these brackets we're going to type in do, and then hit enter. So now we have this for loop created. As I said, this underscore basically is an integer, and this one is the value. In this case, we're going to have the part. You can name these anything you want as well, but just make sure that you know what these are for. But yeah, next thing you gotta check is if the part is a base part. So whilst this thing is going through all the characters' parts, it will check if that part that it's looking at is a base part. Then what we'll do is type in physics service, column, set part collision group, part, so basically the part that we have selected automatically through the for loop, and then the C group. So this part will be put into the collision group that we've created. All right. And after that, we're just gonna make the code bit. So what this does is that we type in player edit, and then we connect the function, and inside the function brackets right here, we're gonna type in player, because, you know, we want to have the player that's joining. And then after that, we're gonna type in player. Don't get confused with players. This has to be player this time. This thing, player.character added, and then connect function again. And inside this, we're gonna type in character this time. And then between these two ending brackets, we're just gonna hit enter again. And then after that, we just type in add to group. So the function that we actually have created above, plus that we also type in character, this thing inside of this functions bracket. So that means that the character that's being loaded in is using this function right here. Then this function waits for the character to finish loading in, and then does the entire putting the character into the group thing. All right, one way I would like to test it is by adding a simple block rig, for example, just into the game. Move it to the ground. And usually you would like collide against this player, right? Like you would be able to push it around or anything, or stand on it. But this script that we've made will actually make sure that it will not happen. So let me just give this dummy a name. Let's say collide, because why not? And now what we'll type in is add to group game.workspace.collide. So we will do the same no collision thing to this dummy right here. All right, let me just add a spawn point so that we will not have to run around that much. And now we just test it, and then we should see that it'll work. You just run towards this collide character, and as you can see, it works perfectly. No collision. You cannot push it around. Literally just running through that character without any issues. And yeah, that's about it. This is the no collision script. You don't really have to use it for obbies only. If you like want nobody to collide with each other in any other game, you can simply use it for that too. I hope this was helpful, and I shall see you next time. Goodbye.